Hello, welcome back to One of the Force of Stars podcast. My name is Phil, of course. I'm joined as usual by Dave. Tonight is, of course, a special episode looking back on Resistance Season 1. Good evening, Dave. How are you?
Good evening, my brother in the Force. I am very, very well, very good. It's nice to be back on after such a long gap last time. When you've had like a week between shows, it's nice to be back to be talking Star Wars again, and specifically, never get that word right, talk about Resistance.
Indeed. I mean, Resistance Season 1 finished up on Sunday just gone, and I must admit, I enjoyed it a lot. I've enjoyed this season more than I thought I would. I mean, we're going to go through, we're going to look at the season as a whole, we're going to look at our thoughts from this evening, from the season, sorry. We're going to look back at when it was first announced, how we felt then, how we feel now. We're going to go through it all. We're not going to go through episode by episode, literally doing a huge chunk on each one. We've done that in our regular show if you want to go back and look through our past few episodes. But tonight is going to be mainly going back through the two-part finale and going back through the season as a whole. And yeah, we might as well crack into it. But yeah, going back just a year ago on the 5th of March, we actually had the end of Star Wars Rebels Season 4, and we're like, oh no! We both love season Rebels. We did a breakdown of that as well. If you want to go back through our channel, look through that. And of course, we were wondering what was going to happen to the future of the animated world for Star Wars, because of course we thought, well, Season 4 could be the last, end up being the final one. We didn't know where they were going. We had the Disney Plus announced by that point, I think. I can't remember if correctly.
I don't think that's been announced at that point. I know they just announced that Rebels was going away, and then they announced that Resistance. I can't remember if they announced it it was just after. It wasn't the same panel, I don't believe, but it wasn't long after that we got the first sort of inklings that something new was coming.
Indeed. So that was the 5th of March last year was the end of Rebel Season 4. Of course, we're very sad. And then by the time April 26th came around, so just a month later, we had the reveal of Star Wars Resistance. We just at that point just had the title. We actually had the logo. We didn't really have much else to go on that particular point. We were like, oh, it's very excited to see what's going on, but we didn't really know much more than that. Resistance, we kind of had a thinking, okay, it's going to be around about the sequel trilogy era, which made sense for Disney, but we weren't quite sure. And then we had to wait until, what was it, August, until we actually had the first trailer come out.
It's quite crazy that it seemed to be such an age for things from one finishing to the next thing coming out. And then it happened kind of quickly because obviously there was the trailer hit, and then there was there really was a backlash against it. We were in the height of Star Wars bad fandom at that point, I think, and that trailer got so many dislikes on YouTube when it came out. It was quite unreal. I mean, yes, there's some issues I still have with the animation style, but you get past that for the story, especially once we got into the second half of the season. But no, it's it came around nice and quick after Rebels.
Well, after we had the backlash of Solo and Episode 8, and after we'd had Rebels finish, the fandom was in quite a toxic state. We already had a comment this evening from Bassi Gael. Thank you, saying good evening, Phil and Dave. So hello, good evening, thank you for joining us. So good evening, B. And then, yes, sorry, we'd already had the backlash for that point. We'd had Solo come out. We were a bit worried about what was going on. We didn't basically know what the future of Star Wars was. And yeah, the fandom was at its most toxic at that particular point. I don't think I've actually remembered it being that toxic in a long time. So yes, when the trailer first came out, we were like, ooh, that animation style. And actually, I remember we did a show pretty soon after that trailer had dropped, and there was kind of a divide between all three of us. And George was very much against it. You were in the middle, and I was on the fence going, I think it would be pretty good, but wait and see for the whole show. But yeah, I remember that trailer dropping quite clearly.
It was a big moment. We were waiting for what was next, and then they're like, new animation is coming out. We got the glimpse of the ship first, that sort of Resistance logo. With
the fireball, yeah.
Yeah, we had that sort of glimpse, and BB-8 was on that very first sort of, not a poster, it was more like a banner in there. And yeah, it was kind of announced that it was coming, and that's when it all started. But it took a bit of getting into. I mean, we've had before, the Clone Wars took us a bit of getting into. Rebels took us some getting into. This, for myself, I know a lot of people like yourself have loved this show from really day dot and have really been behind it, supporting the show, whereas I've certainly taken a much longer process to get to certainly how I feel by the end of the series.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, I was on it from day one. I actually quite enjoyed the first 2 episodes. I mean, I knew they were going to be quite going into it. We already were told it was aimed at a younger audience. So I already had that in the forefront of my mind, going, okay, this may not be aimed at me, but with that in mind, I'm going to give it a shot and see if I enjoy it just for what it is. And I did enjoy it for just what it was at that point. By the end of the series, I'm at a very different point for what I'm enjoying it for. I'm enjoying it for the actually in-depth story and the characters, and I'm actually loving the series on a whole. And we'll get to that point later. But when that first trailer dropped, I remember we all sat around, we discussed it in our private chat, along with a Ones of the Force show that particular point. This was last August, and we're going, okay, the animation style is the sticking point. Take that away, the story could be quite interesting. We know it's going to be aimed at the younger audience, but let's just see. But that animation style definitely was a sticking point. We're going to come on to that because the animation style, for me now, non-factor. I'm actually quite enjoying it. I think it's different. I enjoy the different approach that Clone Wars took, that Rebels took, and that Resistance has taken. So you can see the different art styles from different ones, and I actually quite enjoy Resistance for the art style. But anyway, that was August, and then we actually had the first episode drop on what was it? It was the 7th of October. So we had on 7th of October, we had The Recruit, which was the very first episode. We knew we were having Poe Dameron in at this point. We knew we were having BB-8. So we knew we had Oscar Isaac coming back. We knew we had BB-8. We knew we had Gwendolyn Christie returning as Captain Phasma, although everyone's favourite press release saying a fan favourite Captain Phasma. Which fans? Which fans are you talking about here? Because no one loves Phasma. Everyone knows I vehemently hate Phasma here. I mean, I
let you down. She let you down, man.
I mean, this is the thing, right? I haven't read the book on Phasma yet, so I still need to do that. But I've read the comic. I've seen her in Resistance. I've seen all the films. I know of the book, and I've actually gone through it in depth. The character's an absolute coward, and I cannot stand her with a barge pole. I just no, keep her away. I would rather kiss a bantha than watch more of Phasma. I genuinely would. I just cannot stand her at all. But again, okay, it's Resistance era. She's going to be in it. However, with Commander Pyre, and Commander Pyre is awesome. So we'll come on to that. But yeah, so the first episode was a recruit, introduction to the characters. You know it's going to be an introductory episode. That you just take for what it is. So you're introduced to Yerick Jiga. So Derek Eager, you have Tam, you have Tora, Dozer, you have Kazuda Ziono, or Kaz, we come to know him. You meet Niku and Bucket. Niku was the one that took me the longest to get into.
Yeah.
I can't remember who does the voice off the top of my head.
I can't tell you his name, but he was in...
It's Josh Redner, isn't it? If I remember correctly, something like that.
Could be, but I know he's the guy from the interns.
Yeah.
I just know him from that. That was the only thing I'd seen him in. So, but I can see why he takes longer. He's very much played the way they've got his character set up. He is very much played as the comedic role. He has, because of the way his personality works, and he has that disorder where he's not really taking in anything. Everything he is quite literal to him. And I think that's played, certainly in the first half, it's played more for the laughs against that character.
Indeed, I'm just double checking it now because I think it was Josh Redner. I'm just checking.
What I do think is that while you're looking at that is very
Josh Brenner. Josh Brenner.
Sorry, Josh Brenner, for forgetting you. But yeah, what I was just about to say is certainly in the first half of the series and leading up into really the trailers and story we're getting, this was very much told that this is going to be a show about racing, which really we've had 3 maybe max races throughout the series. It's not,
if you don't count the shorts, it's been 3 races. That's it.
Yeah, it's not been built like it was built certainly as we're going to have a show about racing, and it really isn't that at all. So that point of view, when you come like, I don't really watch races every week. It's just not that show. It's not. Again, trailers lie. It's not that show.
Indeed, and it is one of those things that. The first few episodes, you have that it's a racing platform. You get that. It's almost a full sense of security though. When you first get into those first few episodes, it kind of introduces itself as this. We're going to be fun. We're going to have races. It's going to be quite light-hearted. It's very, very Disney. It's that kind of shiny, shimmery look to it, which, in my mind, is a kind of a full sense of security. Because by the time you get to later on the episodes, Triple Dark and Fuel for Fire, the next 2 were, starting to get some of it into it. But by the time you get to the midway point of Station and Theta Black, it's not a shiny, shimmery series anymore.
No, not at all. It really did change its position from where it started. Like we've said, like literally just said a few minutes ago, but like with Clone Wars and Rebels, they had this shift, and not just we'll build into it slowly. It was very much a very quick, this is where we are with the show. This is not really what it's about. We're going now here. Especially once the First Order were really getting involved, because in those first early shows, we got glimpses of the First Order, but literally a few seconds. That's really where Phasma showed up. Really, she hasn't shown up for this. She's been in the second half of the series? I can't...
No, because for that particular point in the timeline, she's in episode 7.
Yes, of course. Yeah, she's off on that mission as well, where Poe ends up heading later on in the series.
I mean,
so,
this is the other point that we were very fascinated about, was actually the interaction between the timeline between Resistance and episode 7 and how closely they would be linked. And of course, by the time we get to the end of it, you know exactly where in the timeline you stand. And it's a very, very interesting point. And we will come to that later. But yes, so the first few episodes, in the very first episode in The Recruit, you do meet Commander Pyre, you do meet, it's Major Von Reg in his TIE Interceptor, the Red TIE Interceptor, which looks absolutely wicked. And please, FFG, put it in Star Wars X-Wing, because I will love you forever if you do. And you the T-85 X-Wing, which again, please put it in X-Wing. I just want the T-85 because I think it looks sort of amazing. So you meet the Imperial. This is the thing, you actually see the Resistance Navy briefly, which is kind of cool as well. Before you meet General Garner, and then Kazuto is sent off to the Colossus to go with Derek Giga. And his journey begins then. So the first few episodes, you learn about the pirates, you learn about the base, about the racers, and it's all this kind of happy-go-lucky kind of thing from there. Fuel for Fire and the High Tower. By that particular point, the First Order is starting to make their presence a bit more known, because you've had a couple of pirate attacks. And like, so Commander Dozer, you could do with some protection here, and you kind of see the First Order kind of worming their way into Dozer's trust by going, we could kind of lend you a few troopers. Not a garrison. We're not saying a garrison. We're just saying
no garrison was deployed in these episodes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying a garrison here. We're just saying like a few stormtroopers, a security detail, maybe a TIE fighter or two. And at that particular point, Dozer's like, okay, I can see where you're going with this. I'm all right with this, maybe, but remember, it's my station. Like, yes, of course, it's your station. No, it's not. So this point, the First Order try to worm their way in. They want the base, but we don't know why. And at this particular point, it feels Disney, but it's kind of going, okay, now Star Wars is coming into it, if that makes sense, in terms of
totally.
That storyline, that in-depth look at things, that Filoni aspect of it is starting to take place. And then you get on to episode 6. Now, episode 6, for me, was the very first inkling of where the series is going. That's the Children from T-Bar. Children from T-Bar is, I can't remember the name of the operation the First Order employ, but it's the episode where you find out that, hang on a second, that T-Bar is one of those planets the First Order has burnt to the ground and kidnapped all the children from to turn them into stormtroopers.
And it's our first name check as well of our big bad.
Indeed. It was first name check of Kylo Ren's, first name check of the First Order, first name check of a lot of things. But the interesting part of that is episode 6 of a younger audience show talking about kidnapping children. Filoni couldn't keep it away forever.
No, just like in the Clone Wars episode where the Emperor was stealing children, he seems to like the subject.
We're not implying anything here. Filoni is a god to us. Oh, sorry, another comment again. Excuse me. That's a nice hat, Phil. Thank you. That's one of my pictures. That's my shiny picture hat. There's a shiny logo on the back, but that's for another time. My hats are famous on the show. I wear them a lot, but that's purely to keep my ridiculously long hair out of my face as I'm trying to talk. I do have a show to do, But yes, so this particular point, we then get into the signal from Sector 6. You get into Sonara's school, and you can see the First Order starting to really push their presence. As the Children from T-Bar, First Order go, you know what? It's looking a bit more dangerous. Maybe you want a couple more stormtroopers coming in. Maybe we'll actually give you a TIE fighter or two. And then at that particular point, the pirate attacks start increasing. Sonara comes along. Sonara, a pirate who becomes a spy for the pirates, who's also then a spy for the First Order. So inherently, she's a spy for the First Order without her really knowing it. And you can see them really start to get their fingers in by tricking the pirates, by tricking Kaz, and it's all this very complex web of lives that ends up becoming quite a good story here. And then, of course, you get onto the Platform Classic, which is the big race of the whole thing. The Platform Classic was a cool episode. That's kind of a fun episode. It's what you'd consider a filler episode, especially in Resistance. I mean, it's fun, it's filler, but it's still good. But it's good in that it's okay, we'll just kind of enjoy it for what it is, but there's no real substance added to the story. At this particular point, we're up to episode 10, Secrets and Holograms. So, Secrets and Holograms and Station and Theta Blacks, episode 10, episode 11, the midway point. At this particular point, Secrets and Holograms is part of the map of Skywalker. That's our first big... No, sorry, it's the map for the First Order fleet deployment. Sorry, I was thinking episode 7 there. But yes, the First Order fleet deployments. But again, it's our first big kind of link to the wider universe and to the events of episode 7, because at this particular point, Leia Organa is in it, so she's getting the information. Poe's brought into it. And Station Theta Black is a massive episode that it's the one only bit of Star Wars where I actually like Phasma. Yes, I like Phasma in one episode of a TV show. Out of her entire canon, I like her in one episode because she says about 2 lines, kick someone's ass, done.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a very good episode. It's a short episode. I thought that Station Theta Black could have done better actually if it was a 2-parter, though, I have to admit.
It's for us being at the midway as well, you expected a bit more when it came to that. I mean, the character development before that, we'd had Poe Dameron, which, as I've said when we talked about this before, having Oscar Isaac playing Poe Dameron was an absolute genius. Whether that was signed to his contract when he started this journey, that we're going to want you to do other things. The fact he did it, and certainly when I've said before, he didn't phone in his performance at all. That's Poe Dameron in those episodes. And it's really nice to see.
He really helps sell it. He really does.
Absolutely. And I say about the midway point in the season, before we start getting into the real stuff in the back end, it was an all right end to the first half of the season. But you're right, it wasn't the strongest.
Indeed. I mean, the finale could have done with being a 2-parter for sure. The mid-season finale could have done with being a 2-parter. We'd had some inklings of the First Order. It was starting to get good, but we didn't know where it was going from there. But it was a case of, okay, it's got legs. I can see where it's going. Looking forward to the second half, but yeah, it's got legs for sure. And then we get on to the second half, which is Bebo. Bebo was our first episode back. I didn't really care for it, to be honest.
Yeah, again, we're looking at... I think if you class anything as filler, I think, again, you're going with this one as well. You're just being kind of reintroduced back to everything in the second half of the series. Yeah, it wasn't the best episode that we've had in the season.
No, I mean, it's one of those things when it comes to the Blu-ray, I might just skip it purely because it's just...
Next!
It is good, but it is filler. I mean, it's 20 minutes of just fun, but no substance. Then we got Dangerous Business and the Dozer Dilemma. Now, this is when things really start to ramp up. Dangerous Business is kind of is a fun episode, but it's not. Again, it is filler, but in a way of just it's a bit more background, a bit more the First Order, a bit more presence, but it's kind of it's just filling up. Again, you got the children involved, and it's kind of this. Cass just has to look after the shop, and it's it's a bit piratey, it's a bit fun, but it's nothing major. Then we get on to episode 14. So 14 through 21. For me, this is when the show gets really good. Because between 14 and 21, so between Dozer Dilemma and the finale, there's no filler. There's absolutely zero filler. It's all just ramped up story from there. So the Dozer Dilemma, where Tora is kind of fake kidnapped, and the First Order trick the pirates into kidnapping her, but then returning her. And they go, right, we are leaving you a garrison of troopers here. It was a small battalion, but not a garrison. It wasn't
not a garrison, yeah, like just a few more troopers, but the TIE fighters became more regular. You'd see them flying around all over the place as well. Nearly every scene out there outdoors, there's TIE fighters flying about all the time. It just started to really ramp up that the First Order were there and their presence was going to be felt. Was this the episode where we saw Dozer's Imperial uniform in the?
Yes, it was. This is where you learn about properly learn about his Imperial past.
Yeah, that was a really nice moment. especially in that cupboard where he had nothing else but that suit. Was weird. But yeah, it was nice that was there. It was a real nod back to the old original trilogy, and that old Empire uniform was a really nice thing to say that he was part of this. So he's been part of what is now the First Order for a long time, and it's nice that it kind of, you didn't quite know how to feel about Dozer, and I think this started to change your mind about him.
Indeed, we'd already seen with Derek Yeager, we'd already seen his rebel past.
Yes.
We've seen him on Jakku, we've seen his family, we've seen all that kind of stuff. We hadn't seen anything of Dozer. We had an inkling, but that's when you saw his Imperial uniform. We kind of knew his allegiances and knew kind of why he was kind of sympathetic almost towards the First Order. But at this point, though, Pyre pretends to be his friend in terms of returning Tora to Dozer and kind of giving over. It's saying it's still your control, it's still your base, but we really think you need this this protection. And then you go on to the First Order occupation, episode 15, and if that doesn't sell you immediately by the title, that's it in a nutshell. That particular point, the First Order just take over. That's it. It's done. Once they got that foothold, they start to become oppressive. They start to become just very controlling. They build up a curfew, then they build up patrols, and and you see them slowly implementing it. People like Yeager who knew of the Empire know what's coming. People who have been around long enough to know what's going. What I like is the younger generation don't know.
Yeah,
they have no idea.
This episode.
Yeah, and Tam is the best example. As Tam is going, well, they're here for security. They're here for protection. Why are you complaining? Why? Okay, so there's a couple of it's a curfew. Okay, what's wrong with that? Tam is that innocent propaganda view that the First Order want. Yeager and Kaz and else see kind of the outside of, man, this isn't good. This isn't what we want. This is what we fought for. This isn't what we wanted, basically.
I really love the kept that with Tam as well, right through the rest of the season, really, that she is that figure who doesn't know which way she sways.
And we will definitely get onto that, because I didn't see what was coming. I really didn't. We will definitely get onto that. So this particular point, first occupation, it really starts to build up. They get to the new trooper. At this point, Kaz, he's really trying to be careful with his spying because Tam's kind of suspecting things. But he goes undercover and finds out about the First Order's plans to properly just start getting rid of people, just getting rid of the troublemakers. That's when you know it's really ramping up. We goes, well, yeah, we'll just deport the troublemakers off to our mines to mine the diamantium.
It's just we're just going to take people away.
Yeah.
When they've done slight things, you're off on this ship. Bye.
Yeah. You go. If you don't obey the rules, you're out of here. And it's just a case of this is supposed to be for a kid. This is supposed to be a kid show. Where has this innocent younger show audience vibe got? No, this particular point, it's just brutal. In case of you've done something slightly wrong, nah, you're out of here.
Yeah, it has inklings in history of people being shipped off when for no real reason, and it's probably made that way. Obviously, for people who are watching it of an older generation who would get sort of the double meaning behind things. But it's really nice to see that it's taken quite seriously. That it's that thing of that occupation of the platform. It just that building and the ramping up of where we get to at the end.
Indeed, in this particular point, it's just a case of there's something wrong. They're gone. The core problem is interesting. At this particular point, you have Poe and Kaz go off in the T-70s, have a look around, and see that the experiments the First Order are doing to try and build Starkiller Base. So you see the failed experiments of them coring out a planet to put in what is essentially a BFG. It's like the Death Star Wars. We know what happens. We've seen episode 7. Yes, the Roald Dahl one. Everyone out there knows what a BFG is. But yes, it's like Death Star, but worse, on a much grander scale. And it's just, we see them going through this. We see the history of the First Order through the eyes of Kaz and Poe, going, "Hang on a second, what are they? What is this for? Are they mining more material, or is this for something bigger?" And of course, we know it's a Starkiller Base, but when you make that connection, you go, "Oh,
yeah." I really loved seeing the bored out planets.
Yeah,
it was a really nice moment for people who obviously know Starkiller Base is coming and what they're doing, to see how many they're going through. just to try and get this thing built. It was
and the fact there used to be a star there as well. You know that they're testing the weapon. You know it's good. This is not good. We already know where it's going, but at the same time, this is terrible. This is terrifying. How are they getting away with this? Of course, being in the unknown regions. Then you get into the disappeared. The disappeared is where we see that enacted of just a case of gone. So you hype phase on Aunt Z and a bunch of others who are just causing troublemakers, just gone. I mean, Aunt Z goes, I don't want your propaganda in my pub. Gone.
She wouldn't let them have a dartboard either, so yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah.
Which, as I throw back to the first episode where Kaz has that bent dart he throws into the back of someone, which is hilarious. But still, it's like, all right, gone. And it's just a case of brutal, just cleansing, which is, I can't think of a better word for it, is a cleansing of the platform of those who don't agree with the views of the First Order. And again, starting to build up. Then you get on to the last 3 episodes, so Descent, and then No Escape Part 1, No Escape Part 2. Descent is interesting. Descent, at this particular point, you know what's going on. There's no qualms. At this particular point, First Order have just taken over. Dozer is in the doghouse. Pyre is in charge. And they bring in Commander, what's her name? It sounds like Tyrant, but I can't remember her actual name because I didn't get a chance to read the credits because I've been literally to jam the episode in today to then get them on, get the show put together. But yeah, so she's brought in. You kind of see Tam's really starting to find what's going on. Going, I don't agree with all this. What do you mean we're spies? We're not spies. No one here's a spy. What are you talking about? Tyranny. I was correct. Yeah, Tyranny. Commander Tyranny. Actually, I had it in the schedule. Silly me. I should just read the schedule. Yes, so Commander Tyranny's brought on board. Basically, this particular point, then by the time you get to the Descent, Dozer and the rest of, so Yeager and Kaz will be taken into custody. And it's just this, they sink the Colossus into the sea so they can get a message out to the Resistance. By the end of the episode, you get General Organa coming back on the radio going, sorry, we can't help. We're stretched a bit thin.
Yeah.
And we know that they are because we've seen Takar, we've seen what's going on with the Resistance. We know that the Republic Navy, but at this particular point, is still intact. The Resistance themselves are spread thin, trying to find what's happening with First Order. They're just a small Black Ops group. There's not really much to them. And then we get on to No Escape. What a two-part, what a finale.
It was excellent. And as someone, as we'll get into in a bit, who was on the series at the start, I adored this two-parter. And this first part especially, just for the last couple of minutes of this episode.
Yeah, so I'll take us through the first part of No Escape. Because No Escape, by the time we go, you know what's happened, this is going to be pretty big. So, over the Colossus PA system, Commander Pyre informs residents that the First Order is working to fix the damage. Hang on a second. I put that in the wrong order. I have actually. Hang on a second. Sorry, this is me going, I know I'm done, but I don't know the wrong order. Yeah, this is me being reset. I've done it in the wrong order. Forgive me. I'll do this. No.
Normal service will be resumed.
Yep. No, actually, I did actually have it. Sorry, because from the Descent, the episode before, I knew I had it in the right order. So, we're forgetting so the previous episode, the Descent, you've seen the Colossus sink. We know what's happening. So, over the Colossus PA system, Commander Pyre informs residents that the First Order is working to fix the damage done by the Resistance saboteurs, and that venturing outside their homes is in violation of First Order law. As he finishes, Captain Dozer bursts into the office, angry with the arrest of Jarek Yeager. Dozer points out the First Order forces way into the platform through fear, intimidation, tactics. To which Pyre responds by noting that Dozer invites them on board. Again, going, I asked you for help, but you don't own this. By this point in particular, Dozer counters that he doubts the New Republic Senate will see it that way. Pyre says they're out of the New Republic's reach. But at this point, you know that First Order have got this base locked down completely. But the New Republic won't be out of theirs for long. We know what's happening. Pi orders Dozer arrested, and after Dozer and 4D M1N take out the other stormtroopers in the room, Pi destroys 4D, smugly referring the attempt as pathetic. As Dozer is taken into custody, he yells at Pi that the First Order won't get away with what they're doing, but the commander is confident they will. Unbeknownst to the others in the office, Torres, hiding above, has seen everything that's going on. In the engineering decks, Kaz laid out a plan to rescue Tam Yeager from the tower. Steal the shuttle, go to Hosnian Prime. Nico is skeptical, particularly as Kel and Ella, the two children who were captured from the children of T-Bar. This is the children. There's all the other residents of the platform to worry about, so Kaz has to come up with a plan for that as well. Revealing that his father's a senator with connections to the military, they'll be able to return to Castle along with reinforcements. Nico thinks that the claim's a joke as well, and laughing suggests the next thing Kaz wants to say that he grew up extremely wealthy, which we know true. In the Aces Lounge, Tam is impressed by the delicious meal that Agent Tyranny has had served to her, noting she can't remember the last time she ate this well. When the agent asks about Kaz, Tam reiterates she doesn't know anything about him being a spy. Tyranny turns the conversation to Yeager, and the mechanic says there's no way her boss is part of all this, since he moved to the outer rim to get away from the military. In response, Tyranny plays a recording of Yeager confessing that he was a resistant spy all along, who recruited Kaz, and he was the one who flew the fireball into restricted territory. Tam shot says that Yeager must be lying to take the blame off of Kaz. Tyranny says otherwise, although insisting that both of them are the spies and always have been. They didn't tell her because they knew they couldn't trust her. Meanwhile, Tora enters the bedroom and sends Buggles, her little pet, in search of Kaz. In the Colossus central room, several stormtroopers confirm the turbines definitely aren't responding, and the platform can't be raised until some of the water taken on has drained. Just then the door opens to reveal someone standing outside who waves one of the troopers. CS-227 heads out to deal with the creature, but after the door closes, the other two hear a scream, thumping sounds. When the door opens again, creature's still there, alone. The other troopers exit only for the body of their unconscious comrade to be thrown at them. The door closes to admit Kaz, Niku, Kel, and Ella, and CB-23 as Julie, they begin to remove the unconscious stormtroopers. Kids confirm that all hatches can be controlled from here, as the shell folk showed them. So that's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles we saw back in the earlier episodes. So Raphael, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Leonardo all there, all with their bandanas, all going well. Eventually, after some trouble with the buttons, Nico manages to purge the hallway and suck the troopers back outside. Before closing the hatches, the water drains. Kaz wonders what else they can control from here, and Ella wordlessly points up. When Nico and Kel look, they're surprised to see a hyperdrive. Passed by the Office of Acquisitions, Kaz hears something, so he and CB-23 go find Felix, Orca, GLN, and Bethany hiding in a crate with food. Kaz asks them if they have any weapons, and Felix points out they wouldn't be hiding in this crate. They explain their escape plan to just basically be shipped off-world to Talavar, and they've been waiting inside for a few days. Kaz then tells them that since the Colossus is mostly underwater, nothing is getting shipped. They still refuse to help, though, seeing fighting the First Order is a bad decision, and retreat to the crates, leaving Kaz and CB. Discovered by Buggles, and Kaz quickly realizes that the 4-pack wants them to follow him, so that's when they go find Tora. On the way, they're contacted by Niku, who tells them the hyperdrive thrusters they discovered they could launch the Colossus into space. Kaz tells Niku to get started on that, and Niku responds by getting the ships launched as his job. After signing off, he notes that himself that getting those ships to stay up isn't exactly his best trait. Buggles leads Kaz and CB to where Tora is hiding inside the maintenance tunnel, and she tells Kaz that her father's been arrested. During the conversation, they're discovered by the First Order ball droid, and Kaz orders CB3 to take it out. It's quite a funny fight, I have to admit. It tricks him into falling down a shaft. Again, they're employing the slight humor in this kind of dark story. And the holding cells, Yeager's escorted off a turbo lift by a pair of stormtroopers, one of whom calls him resistance scum. He sees Tam and Tyranny coming down the hall and tries to warn her that First Order is manipulating her. Tam doesn't listen, accusing her lying to him the whole time, putting her in danger. Before she and Tyranny leave, Yeager is thrown into a cell where he finds his new cellmate's Captain Dozer. Tyranny is Tam through the hallways where they pass Jace Rucklin and Lingava, who are being escorted somewhere by stormtroopers. Noting that Tam had dreams of becoming a great pilot, Tyranny offers her a chance to be a pilot with the First Order. if she comes with her, which then Tam, of course, considers the offer. When Kaz, Tora, and CB23 and Buggles get into the tower, they run into a stormtrooper who gets stunned by Kaz. After a scuffle that Tora calls almost impressive, Tora sends reluctant Buggles back to her room before she, Kaz, and CB23 set off. Kaz and Tora note the hallways are suspiciously quiet and deserted, but Kaz thinks that quiet is good because it makes things easier. They hide behind crates as two stormtroopers pass, discussing a transmission they have to watch, and that something called Starkiller Base has just been completed. Unnerved, Kaz and Tora agree that whatever it is sounds like the worst thing ever. They follow the stormtroopers into a darkened room where they aren't noticed as they sneak from crate to crate because the troopers are watching a transmission. A red-haired man, the first order uniform, as we now know, of course, being General Hux, begins a speech declaring the New Republic will end that day. Tora has to get Kaz to keep coming as he's distracted by the transmission. As they're nearly out of the room, the man in the transmission gives the order to fire. Kaz, Tora, and CB23 go back to watch as the super weapon is fired and fires a beam that annihilates several planets, ending with a planet that we now know, of course, is Hosnian Prime, which we know by this point is Kaz's homeworld, and the episode just simply ends on a shot on his face just going, no. By the time he gets to the end of that episode, it is heavy. It is purely heavy. Tam is not knowing what she wants to do, doesn't know who she can trust. Kaz is seeing his homeworld destroyed. Yigo's everyone he knows taken away from him. Doze has been thrown in the brig and knows that he's basically handed over the base of the First Order, and the First Order are sitting pretty thinking we've got this in hand. And you're just wondering where the hell it's going to go. I'll either talking next, my throat's hurting.
Yeah, it's an episode that really set up this season split finale over the 2 episodes, and for it to looking as bad as it is for everybody, the discovery that the hyperdrive we were talking about earlier was an awesome little find on there. I thought it was a really nice moment. They were like, oh, okay, this is not quite the platform we think it is. And then, as I say, we get through all this thing. Tam is these last few episodes. I really enjoyed the part that Tam's played in it. I think her character has been played pinpoint well as to how influenced she could be either way. And she's not, like I say, she's not sure where her loyalties actually lie with it all.
Yeah.
And then to get that final moment where we get beat for beat the exact speech from Hux. Literally, the audio is pulled from Force Awakens. And what they've said as well is it's literally timed exactly. So against the Force Awakens, when that beam fires out and goes out, it is lined up, timed perfectly. It goes to the planets at exactly the same rate as in the movie, so it's literally taken from that.
It's shot for shot, but in animated form, and it is just so good.
It was amazing to see that. I wasn't expecting it to be that much. I thought we might see the end of the speech and then something else would happen, but to see the actual aftermath and then it being Hosnian Prime, which obviously you kind of already know if you've watched the movies and know some of the background, but for that to be now, I mean, that's Kaz's home planet gone, was a different kettle of fish altogether.
Indeed. So we're left to this point going, holy, what's happening? Where's the series going? What's going to be the finale? Could it be a one and done? We now know, of course, there's going to be a season 2. We knew that already, which kind of like a bit irked, actually. We knew there's going to be a season 2 before this finale, I have to admit.
It might have been nice to leave that information till just after this aired, because it does leave it in a nice... it leaves it in a strange way when we get to the end. Well, I guess we'll talk about that, what we think might happen going forward, because it leaves it in a bit like, oh, okay, they're headed somewhere, but they're not going to get there. But yeah, it's a weird place to leave it. I would have liked a little bit more, maybe. But yeah, we'll get to that after.
Well, being a 2-part, it's kind of okay to leave it with that.
Yeah,
kind of a cliffhanger.
The first half I thought was immense. I absolutely adored this. This gripped me. Like, this series at some points absolutely has lost me. I watched this a couple of times just on the belt after I watched the first episode. Like, I'm going to watch it again. So it's the first time I've felt like that about this series. That first half of the finale really got me like, I need to just watch that again straight off. Just now I know what's going on. I'll go through it again. So yeah, I really loved this first half.
Indeed. So, getting on to the second half of No Escape Part 2. The First Order has destroyed Hosnian Prime, and Kazuda, Ziono, Tora, Doza, and CB23 have seen the transmission while hiding. Kaz is nearly caught when his grief means he can't stay quiet, which is very understandable. But Tora makes him hide again and tells her what They just saw that it's his homeworld has been destroyed. Tora can just only say how sorry she is, but Kaz resolves the First Order will pay for what they've done. The three sneak to the Dozer Tower holding cells where they find Jarek Yeager and Captain Dozer. The two prisoners are happy for the rescue, but Yeager notices something wrong with Kaz, who then he explains about the Starkiller base firing. Yeager and Dozer both horrified, but everyone has to hide back in the cell when they hear stormtroopers coming. The two troopers notice the cell is unlocked and investigate, but of course ambushed by the resistance members. Yeager and Dozer take the troopers' blast before stunning them and leaving them in the cell. Kaz tells them the plan. Yeager's going to fire up the Colossus thrusters and the engines to escape into space. Dozer is somewhat concerned about the idea, noting that Colossus hadn't been moved in nearly 20 years, but knows it's a pretty decent plan of how to get them out. He has an idea how to get the stormtroopers out. He calls up Kaz. Kaz, CV-23, and Tora position themselves in the corridors of the platform as Kaz gives Niku instructions. However, Niku's literal-mindedness leads him to set things off too soon. Again, that little bit of humor, which I quite like and come to know over the series. And this particular point in the series, I do actually quite like Niku. It took me a while to get to like his character. So Kaz and then Tora lead the stormtroopers off, so the stormtroopers are caught in their newly flooded sections and then flushed down into the ocean, which is normally Captain Dozer's office. Pyre and Tyranny discuss the situation with Tam present. First Order Security Bureau agent arbitrarily notes that the stormtroopers are losing control and that reinforcements are necessary. She adds that she intends to take Tamara off-world now. Pyre, after a moment, agrees and hints that perhaps they should cut their losses since the platform is getting so hard to control. As First Order personnel and Tam leave, Yeager and Dozer emerge from the hiding place above, having slipped into the office via another route. Yeager contacts Kaz, who just disposing of the last of the stormtroopers and tells him about their plans to take Tam off-world. They agree they can't let that happen. Down the hyperdrive room, as Niku, Kel, Ela, and Vitpacker work on flushing the stormtroopers, Niku is surprised when they're told they're receiving a transmission from Auntie, who's been gone for days. Pyre and Tyranny escort Tam outside, where the shuttle descends to meet them. As the ramp is extended, Yeager below and Kaz and Tora above shows themselves and try to persuade Tam to stay. Tam refuses to listen, upset they've lied to her so much, although Yeager points out the First Order lies much, much more than they ever did. Sadly, Tam's sense of betrayal and Tyranny's manipulation is enough to leave her unswayed by their arguments. As stormtroopers call at them, Pyre demands that Kaz, Tora, CV-23, and Yeager surrender. Kaz, however, is unconcerned and simply gives Niku an order to start the Colossus' engines. Tyranny and Pyre are surprised when they realize what's happening, as is Tam, and told the Colossus is a spaceship. The stormtroopers are thrown off balance, and somehow some of the ones that are being threatening Yeager for the platform. CV-23 employs oil and her grappling lines to throw away a few more, and sags Tora when she accidentally falls as well. As Pyre and Tyranny board the shuttle, Tyranny offers a hand to pull Tam on as well. Yeager yells one last plea for her not to take it, but she doesn't listen. And soon enough, the shuttle with now Tam on board is gone. Tora tells Yeager how sorry she is, but he replies that Tam made her choice, as they're joined by Kaz and CB. Yeager says they're going to need to get to their ships they run inside. As the Dozer Tower cells, Captain Dozer releases the Aces from their cells, saying their talents need to defend the station, and at the hangar where Yeager's razor, the fireball, was stored in the First Order, CV-23 works on opening the door, deactivating the gravity locks. Yeager orders Bucket to go get to hangar B12, where the Aces ships are stored, do the same so that everyone can leave and defend the platform. However, Kaz, Yeager, and Tora are greeted by a pair of TIE fighters, prompting Kaz to try shooting at one of them. Just then, help arrives in the form of Auntie and Hype Phase on picked up Kaz's distress call en route to Takodana and decided to come back and help in their stolen transport. The other races, Kaz and Yeager, launched their ships and head out to fight Major Von Reg and his TIE fighters as the Colossus continues to ascend. During the ensuing dogfight, many TIE fighters are shot down, but defenders of the Colossus are outnumbered, and there's still Major Von Reg to deal with. As the battle rages outside, the Colossus' help comes in the form of the Warbird pirates, who we saw in the previous episode. Sonora get the distress call and unscramble it. Sonora orders the gunners to fire on the TIEs and gives Kaz a heads up over the comms. As the fight continues, the First Order Star Destroyer arrives to greet the Colossus defenders. He begins firing upon the station, and Kaz orders everyone back to the safety of the Colossus. He also sends Niku a set of coordinates for the jump into hyperspace. However, Captain Dozer points out that Colossus isn't far enough away from the from Castellan's gravitational pull to jump yet. Yeager, meanwhile, is in need of help as he's being chased by Major Von Ray. Cad's heads after the Red's TIE intercepts her and comes up with a way to ambush it by literally going through the Colossus itself, through the hangar bay, coming out the other side and firing it and destroying it. Just as when we get to the edge of the atmosphere and Niku's able to activate the hyperdrive, and the station's gone into hyperspace. Everyone's relieved that they live to fight another day. However, Niku then reveals that he didn't put in the entire coordinates, so the Colossus is either going to end up coming quite close to the car or really far away. How at this point they're just happy that they are gone. So this finale itself was just the second part. Tam refusing to go was the bit I didn't see coming. I thought she would turn around at the last minute and go, you know what, I'm going to stick with my friends. But no, she just...
Yeah.
No.
It was that, as I say, through the last few episodes, she definitely had my favourite arc of the stories. And you're right, no one at that point would expect her to then go with the First Order, like quite willingly as well. She wasn't being taken aboard. She wasn't captured. On free will, off she went to that side. She's chosen where she's going to be. And I'm guessing, yes, that's probably going to play out heavily in season 2. But it was a big moment for the series, I thought.
Yeah, Susan McGrath did a very, very good job in portraying Tam those few episodes. I mean, she's done a good job the entire series, but you can see Tam's doubts building throughout the entire series. But that finale, just for her to go, sorry, I've made my choice, you lied to me. These guys are telling me the truth, or at least a truth that I can accept, whereas the lies you told me are just too much. And to find out how the hyperdrive was cool, so we now know why there's going to be a season 2. We all thought, okay, before the season 2 announcement, you would have thought, okay, Star Destroyer comes out the sky, just obliterates them. That could be the end of it in a great one-season, one-shot deal. But no, very much, very interesting to the end of that.
I love that it was a ship, that it's a huge, huge ship, set very much like the B-Wings or the bombers from the Last Jedi.
Yeah, or kind of like the medical ships from Clone Wars.
Yeah, very much like those. And it was a really nice moment, a really nice moment for that to take off. And I liked the fact that they were going to head to Jakar, which is where the rebels are in Force Awakens. That's the base. That's where they're trying to head. Obviously, that's not where they're going to get to. That base will be well abandoned by the time they get there. And I like that. Yeah, Nico didn't put in the full coordinates, so they're going to end up around that area in space somewhere. But we're not going to know where they are, and there's obviously new adventures.
We know they couldn't arrive there because they either arrived too early,
or literally in the middle of that bombing run,
or they're going to arrive. There's going to be a dreadnought there, and they're going to get obliterated.
Yeah, really quick series opens up. There it is, shot down. Credits.
Yeah, which of course we've seen the Last Jedi, so we know that the Colossus doesn't appear, or they would have appeared just afterwards. Gone, oh, there is nothing here. What the hell happened? Which again would have been actually, I reckon, could be a nicer way to end it. Okay, so they arrive at Takar,
and it's just desolate, and
everything's just gone. The planet has been bombarded by the autocannon from the Dreadnought. First Order have just legged it after the Resistance. Resistance are gone. They get there, and there's just debris, bodies, just kind of this desolate world below them. They go, oh.
Yeah, that would have been a really nice ending. The looking out the hyperspace is nice. It's kind of that reminder of Luke and Leia looking out the window in Empire. It's got that sort of feel about it where they're all watching themselves go down the hyperspace route. But yeah, I think that would have been a nicer ending to get if they were going to. That's where they're heading. If they got there and saw just the aftermath of the start of the Last Jedi, which would have given us a nice timeline entry as well. Obviously, once the end of Force Awakens happened, it's quite a quick lead into the Last Jedi. So that would have been a nice. It would have been a really nice moment. You should have pitched that. Would have been much better.
Was it that, or it could have be you'll have that be the first episode of season 2?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I think at some point it's going to play into that. They're playing so close to the stories of this sequel trilogy that I can't see them not getting close to The Last Jedi in some ways.
Yeah, because Kaz's going to arrive, try to contact Poe, and go, what the hell's happened? Where are you?
Yeah.
And go, yeah, we've kind of been decimated, but now we were on Crate, and now we're kind of going somewhere in a damaged YT 1300 freighter.
Yeah, it plays into this really well. The whole finale, the two-parter, was really well played out. I really, really liked it. And coming from where I did with the series, like I said before, and I didn't enjoy, certainly the first half of the series didn't kind of, unless Poe Dameron was in the episode, it didn't really pull me in. But the growth of characters like Pyre, like Tyranny as well, who is basically callous it's the same role that
Yeah.
Alice played. It's the same. I think it's just literally the same.
The helmet's very similar as well.
Yeah, so yeah, the design was literally like it was taken out. So I would believe they're in the same job role almost.
Yeah,
it's
in a way, it's a very similar kind of role. But it's very similar. Yeah, there's similarities, but at the same time, it's her own character. But it's just
no, absolutely, yeah.
It's cool to see it. I love that 2-parter finale. I'm gonna watch it again. I really am. I'm gonna go back and rewatch it purely because I enjoyed it so much, but partly to go back and see what I missed. But there was just so many little details, so many nods to the sequel trilogy, and that speech as well is just. It's just more chilling watching it from an animated perspective when you know what's happened in the live action. You see it happening in real time compared to the film. It's just this another added layer.
It was so well done, and like I was so hooked by this last two. I was really upset that it was the finale that we're now going to have to. And it's not too long actually. I think it's fall. This is going to come out. The series 2 is going to start in the ramp up to Last Jedi. I think it's going to. So it's going to probably around September, October time. We're going to be sort of heading towards this second series coming out. So we'll have a few episodes under our belt as well. So it'll be nice to see where they're playing as well.
I mean, we've got Star Celebration coming up in April, so we'll probably have a season 2 trailer to digest along with our many panels, our many jobs. I've already warned Robin because we're at the System Open. I already warned him that we're going to be up late I'm going to be up late doing panels and stuff. He's like, yeah, it's going to be a case of, Bill, what the hell are you doing up at this time of night? Mandalorian panel. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll join.
Yeah, absolutely. We will, Robin, I'm sure as he's with you, we will guest him as we're going through this because there's going to be a lot to talk about over the next, once it hits April. George is prepping to go away as we speak.
We're kind of persuading him to try and buy us things.
I'm literally telling him to buy me things. It's the new pops were shown today, the exclusive ones, and I've pretty much made it aware he does not come back with one. He is no longer my friend.
Yeah. It's true. And I want the Black Series again. If he doesn't come up with the Black Series, even though we're my friend, it's fine. We'll just kick him off once the Force forever. Not like he ever appears on the show anyway. But no, we do love you, George. But yeah, so Series 1 as a whole, very much enjoyed it. There's a few filler episodes, but there always are. No matter what TV show you're watching, there's always filler.
There really is. And from my point of view, I mean, I came all the way around on this, whereas, as I say, I didn't enjoy this at the start. I still have issues with the animation style. It's very clean. There's not a lot of detail in some of it. So that's just a struggle I have. But the overriding story and the way it's acted has pulled me in way more than the animation style has bothered me, which is a really nice juxtaposition. I'm like, I'm not too keen on that, but this is so good, especially once we got into the back half. I don't really care about that. That can, in my mind, I can play that a bit better.
The animation hasn't bothered me in a long time. I'm perfectly okay with it because in my mind, it's a lot different.
In the series are,
it's a different style to Rebels and different style to Clone Wars. But I like that they each had their own stylistic flavor.
Absolutely.
Okay. So moving on, look at Series 2. What do you want out of Series 2, Dave?
It's a really tricky one to kind of go into because we know where we are in the timeline. We know we're just finishing The Force Awakens. We're about to head into The Last Jedi. But now will Star Killer Base still be there when we start Season 2? It's going to be very much depend where they start again. What I want to see is now that it's really weird because now they're traveling, now they're on a ship. It changes the entirety of that series. We're not locked anymore to one planet.
No.
I know we've traveled in the series to a few different planets, but now it really is all open. They could go so many places. And it depends now what the tie is going to be because the First Order tie is obviously going to be broken on that. Obviously, Pire's not there. And
I personally reckon the ending of Season 2 with a message from General Garner putting out saying,
help!
Our friends of the Outer Rim. Going, well, the message has been read, but no one's replied. Is that horrible meaning where you tell someone you like them and just come with read? And that's it. Like,
not someone's typing and then nothing.
It's something important to tell you. I like it. Read.
It's going to be really, really interesting to see where they go because they've left themselves now. There's a massive scope. They're not tying themselves down anymore, which I think was a really, really smart move.
Yeah.
And I think it's already been on their really short Rebels behind the scenes thing they have up. That was always the plan. They always knew that the Colossus was a ship, and the idea was to get off as soon as that series finished to kind of head off on new adventures. And I like that it could go a completely different with it and go to a different side of the galaxy where none of what we know is going on. But the fact that Kaz is so entwined with the first order that he's going to want to be back with the Resistance and fighting with them, especially now his planet's gone as well. I think that'll be a big motivator for him going forward. I'm really excited to see, and I really think we will, like you said, we will get a trailer throughout at some point during Celebration. And I think we're going to get a real nice taste of what we're going to get, and I can't wait to get on here to talk about it.
Well, we've got 3 animation panels. We've got Rebels Remembered, we've got Resistance Looking Forward, and we've got Clone Wars Returning.
So much animation, but so good.
Then you add on The Mandalorian, then Cassian Andor, then you add on Episode 9.
There's just so much content coming.
Never going out of business. We at Once the Force will annoy you forever. It's fine. We're just going to hit. You'll have to listen to our incessant ramblings for a long time to come. And we are happy with this. But yes, I mean, personally, I'm looking forward to season 2. I'm looking forward to seeing where the show's going to go. I'm looking forward to seeing how they connect it to The Last Jedi, to Crate, to the Resistance as a whole. To see also, because it starts in, let's say, October, when it's full. They finish in same time? Let's say they literally follow the same time though. So start in October, finish in March. By the time you get from January, February, March, we can see past The Last Jedi because we know where Episode 9's been set.
Yeah, it's
so we could actually see the connection between all 3 of the sequel trilogy films, just before Episode 7 to the events in Episode 9. I reckon that would be a nice way to segue into The Last Jedi, in and out of The Last Jedi.
It just makes the mind start to wander around and leap around and decide what you want the story to be.
It does, but since we both, I mean, even I went into the series going, I'm not sure where it'll go, not sure if we'll enjoy it much, to now going, can't wait for season 2, rewatching the finale, going, oh my god, that was brilliant, look at what they did.
Yeah.
Bring on season 2. I mean, it's just... It's for me, it's a winner to go have a show that we all thought. Okay, I mean, even I, as the fan from the start, was going, look, I'll give it a watch. Okay, I like the idea, give it a watch. To now going, bring it on, give me more. I think in my books, that's a winner. They've done a good job.
Yeah, I was won over, and I say mostly by the storytelling, and that's really what more can I ask for? If the storytelling is good, that it makes me want more of this. Something I wasn't overly keen on, then it can't be anything but a win towards me. I mean, I haven't felt like this about that TV show. I never thought I would. I thought I'd be here to just comment on things. Well, yeah, okay. I mean, obviously there are episodes that, as we talked about them, I hadn't really.
Yeah, there's always filler.
But I got back to it all, and I mean, I've gone through the whole series now and watched everything again just to make sure I was all caught up, and I really enjoyed this coming out the end of this first season.
Indeed. I mean, okay, that's been a nice little kind of a brief run through of season 1 and what we want from season 2. But reactions on the whole, I think they've done a great job. I think they're onto a winner. They've managed to tell a story, and they told it well enough that people like us who are a little skeptical of the animation style have looked past the animation and looked into the story. I mean, by now, I love the animation style, but I know other people's not, and that's fine. Everyone has their own point of view, but I love the story, and by the time you got to the end of it, bring on season 2 is all I can say.
Yeah, I'm there with you. We'll be ready for the trailer drop at Celebration. We will do another show just about that. We'll talk about that. Say Robin will probably be with us if it happens while Phil is away. So it'll be good to talk about that, and hopefully we'll get some input from George. I'm sure we'll get some voicemails while he's away. We'll get some voice messages. It won't be online. I think it's time difference and things like that. And obviously
it's a bit too difficult. We'll do like we did with the Mace Windu.
Yes.
Although we won't have to edit that one as much. Family friendly show, and all, we had to edit that one, but my god, that was a good time. But no, we will put out content from George. George will probably do his own video when he comes back. It's a complete breakdown and debrief of Celebration from his point of view.
I think nice
goodies he's brought back for us. Maybe he'll bring back something for us to give away on the show. You never know.
No, whatever he brings back, I'm keeping.
Well, we'll bring a double of something for us to give away. But yes, we all want our own stuff. I need to message George myself about what I want. Robin will hopefully be guest starring. We'll have yourself and I. We'll cover it all. I don't care how tired I get with the system open. I'm going to be burning the candle at both ends and just dying the week after. It may be detrimental to my performance at the system open, but we'll see. I finished top 16 at regional the other day, so I've already got more than I was hoping for this season, so I'm good. But yes, bring on season 2, like I say. We'll join you for Star Wars Celebration. I think that's about it this evening, Dave. Is there any other points you want to add on to our nice little review here?
No, just it's been nice to go and do another show so quickly. It's nice to do one so quickly after the last one with only a sort of week gap. And yeah, really looking forward now. We've got what, one more show or 2 more shows before Celebration. I think we get 2 in. 2, and then we have Celebration weekend. And I say there'll be more videos than anybody would want us to be showing.
Indeed. And I just hope that next week's show's a little shorter than last week's show, because my voice was killing me after last week's show.
I can't see there being much more announced now before. Celebration's far too close to start dropping big news. So just get prepared, guys. Over Celebration weekend, we will be dropping as much. We'll be on a lot. We'll be on at least once a day for just a roundup of the day, and we will cover the really big. We won't be on for every panel that they do, but we'll be on for the big stuff. And anything that drops, any trailers, we'll be on talking about that as well. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for Celebration. That's where we're building up to now.
Indeed, indeed. So yes, we will see you all next week for our regular show. Thank you for joining our Resistance recap here of Season 1 of Resistance. Thank you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Click the thumbs down below. You can find us on YouTube. We're live every other week on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. GMT, or there or thereabouts whenever on time. You can find us on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, for all our audio versions of the podcast. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for all our social medias at Ones of the Force or on Instagram at Ones the Force Podcast. Thank you all for joining us. So we'll be Ones of the Force. May the Force be with you. Good night.